special recipe. It was actually passed down from my great grandmother, and it's actually called Natillas, which is a boiled custard. So it's similar to kind of any other boiled custard you would have, except it's a little bit thicker. And it actually comes from Spain. So it's pretty close to what you would find in Spain today, minus a few of the spices that they normally put in it. So really it's simple.
Could you spell the name for me?
Yeah, so it's N as in Nancy, A-T-I-L-L-A-S.
Okay, yeah.
So nata meaning cream in English, and I'll kind of switch my camera around just so you can see what the final product, and it's actually pretty fast. So I have these little ramekins that I put it in, and then I sprinkle it with cinnamon. So let me tell you what you're going to need. So you're going to need milk, 2 cups. And I also, in the chat function, you'll see that I linked to the recipe that I put together as well.
It's a great idea.
And then also you're going to need sugar, salt, and some cornstarch and water. So I'll go ahead and set the camera up where actually I was trying to play with it this morning, where I think you can actually see my countertop here. Hang on.
That's a great position.
Actually, I'm going to turn the phone around just so it's a little bit easier to hold. Can you see?
That's excellent.
I was trying. Okay, so this is going to be the final product. And as we can see here, can you see my pot?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to take the 2 cups of milk, and then I'm just going to throw it on a little above medium. And I usually take like a whisk, and I like to whisk around the milk. And so I actually am lactose intolerant, so I make mine with almond milk, but you can
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, so you can substitute the milk for cow's milk, goat's milk, any other kind of nut milk. Cashew milk works nicely too. And I just try to mix it around so it doesn't quite scorch on me. And I'm gonna move the camera a little bit this way so you can see what I'm doing over here.
I'm very jealous of your gas stove.
Oh, I know, right? So usually I'll take the eggs, and I usually use fresh eggs, and I just take out the whites here. And actually I should get my other bowl because this is meant for egg yolks. So I'll take my egg whites and separate my egg yolks. So I do 4 eggs. And again, fresh eggs are really yellow yolks, if you can see that.
I have chickens too.
There goes my egg yolk. So sometimes this method doesn't always work, but I have clean hands.
You're doing great.
And what I do is I have a KitchenAid mixer for a reason, because I love it, but primarily, again, this isn't always the best method. If you have an egg separator, it's probably better. And then I just throw it on my mixer, and I won't turn it on yet so it doesn't have much background noise, but I take the egg yolks, I add 3/4 cup of sugar and just a teaspoon salt, and I just mix it up really well. So that's my sugar and egg yolks, as you can see. So it's just really easy custard. And so I can see that my milk is starting to get a little bit warmer. And if you have a milk thermometer, that's even better. I used to have one when I used to have milking goats, but I don't know what happened to my thermometer. So I kind of just eyeball it. I can kind of like feel the temperature of the milk.
So you just don't want it to boil, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so what I do is I will take a ladle. Oh, I didn't have my ladle out. And I'll take a little bit of the hot liquid and I'll temper it, which means I just pour it in here and mix it in, because if you pour it in too fast, you'll start making like scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
And this isn't scrambled eggs, it's a sweet custard. So I just mix it in really good, and then sometimes just to make sure I'm not overdoing it, I'll add a little bit more. And then I slowly take that and add it into my mix. And I'm constantly stirring it because you don't want scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. And so I just keep mixing it there. And as I'm doing that, I take a 1/4 cup of water.
Uh-huh.
And some people, like my mom uses flour, but I prefer cornstarch mainly because I'm also gluten-free. And I just think cornstarch isn't as likely to be as like, what do you call it, lumps in your custard. So I like it a little bit more smooth. So I just mix in 1/4 cup of water and 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. And I just mix it up. Basically, this is called a cornstarch slurry. And this is actually a really good thickening method. Like if you're ever making a soup and you want it a little bit thicker, if you just add a 1/4 cup of water and 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, you'll make a nice slurry that'll thicken it up pretty nicely. And as that's going, as you can see here, I'm constantly stirring, but I use both hands because I...
Ambidextrous.
Yes, trying to. And as that's going, I'm gonna go ahead and throw on my mixer over here and just so I can whip these egg whites. And I apologize for that. So you can do the egg whites by hand, but if you have a hand mixer or a KitchenAid, it's just so much easier to get them fluffy because I basically want them stiff heat because I'm going to fold those into the custard. And so you can just keep mixing. That's kind of the thing, is you don't want to let it sit. I prefer these kind of pots over like stainless steel because I feel like stainless steel will burn and scorch a lot more. Just like when I'm making my jams and jellies, I prefer these types of pots over stainless steel.
Yeah.
Just less likely to burn or scorch. And really, at this point, we're just waiting for it to get a little bit thicker, and it looks like it's mixed in. So I'm going to go ahead and do exactly what I did with the egg. Is I'm going to add a little bit of the hot mixture to my cornstarch slurry, mix it in, and then go ahead and pour it back in here and just continue mixing. All stoves are different, so if you have an electric stove top, it's probably going to take a little bit longer just because gas is a lot hotter.
I love gas. I cooked with gas all the time I was growing up, and I just miss it being in Oregon.
Yeah, I apologize. My kitchen, I have my KitchenAid mixer on, so it's really loud, but it makes it so much easier for this last part, and you'll see here. Bella. My daughter has her new pet bunny inside, and so like apparently the mixture is scaring him. So
oh no.
And as you can see, it's getting a little bit thicker. Because I added the cornstarch in, and you can kind of see that it's creating a custard fill. It's pretty fast actually. And you can kind of see almost like a pudding. And so I'm just letting it get a little bit thicker before I take it off the heat here. And you can see it's looking more like custard. Actually, I think that's a good mix here. And I'm going to turn that off for a second. So I take it off. And as it's off, I add in just about a teaspoon of vanilla. Can you see this okay, Colleen?
I sure can. Yeah.
Okay. So I just add in a little bit of vanilla. That's not necessarily essential, but I like to add it in for the aromatic smell. Then I just sprinkle a little bit cinnamon in, not very much, just a little bit to give it flavor. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn my mixer back on because I need my egg whites more stiff. So have you been baking or cooking anything more than usual these days?
Do you know, we actually are cooking pretty well here, and it's so nice, but we don't do a lot of baking because this house is primarily gluten-free too. I mean, we are
Yeah.
using some almond flour and that kind of thing, but not a lot of baking.
Yeah, I'm not celiac, but I am gluten intolerant, so I don't eat a lot of gluten. But I started this whole sourdough starter thing, and actually because the sourdough is fermented, it just sits a little bit better with my stomach because I'm gluten intolerant. So for me, it's a good alternative.
Nice.
And my egg whites too. I'll let those stiffen up a little bit more. And you can see that you can even just eat the custard like this, but when I add the egg whites, you're going to see the difference. I should have started those sooner. They're taking a little bit longer to get cooked. And
Oh no, that's all right.
Do that by hand.
I'm intrigued by adding the egg whites to the custard. I don't know that I've ever seen a custard done this way.
Very close. So how's your Monday going so far for you?
Oh, it's pretty good. I mean, all in all, you know, so many changes, but
I know, it's hard. I can't imagine what you guys, like just thinking about career management, what you do with the students. How do you do that for kids?
it's a lot of guessing, to tell you the truth, but we've just done a really nice poll of the employers that we work with, and we got a decent response. Above 57 employers responded.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's really helpful.
Yeah, I was just thinking like this might be a good opportunity to like loop in some of the national employers that wouldn't necessarily travel to Eugene and think about how to engage them, right? That it'd be a little bit easier to do virtually now that this has become our current standard.
Yeah, the career industry is very, very busy, and fortunately, the National Association of Colleges and Employers is also doing a lot of surveying, and so they're providing a lot of leadership and a lot of information, which is really helpful.
That's good. Sometimes it feels like cognitive overload. I don't know about you, but lately I've been getting so many emails about resources. It's been great. I'm not complaining, but it's also been a little bit overwhelming with everything going on.
It is. I mean, even, you know, Zoom fatigue and email fatigue, webinar fatigue, those are all things right now.
This isn't as stiff as I normally get it, but it's at least better than nothing. So I usually will take the egg whites and fold them in. And so how that goes is I just keep mixing it in. And
I don't think I've ever seen a pudding done with egg whites like this. This is different for me.
yeah, it is very different. And so essentially you just mix it in until it makes a better consistency, and it looks like it's pretty good. And you can get a bunch of ramekins or.
Do you ever add other things to the pudding, like raisins or anything like that?
Not with this recipe, but it's interesting. If you Google Natillas, there's other cultures that will add like different things to it. So yeah, I mean, essentially, it's just a basic pudding that you can use in any way, and you can see right now